Welcome to Fueling Your Legacy, hosted by Samuel Knickerbocker. Each week, we expose the faulty foundational mindsets of the past and rebuild a new, stronger foundation essential in creating your legacy. We've got a lot of work to do, so let's get started. Welcome back to Fuel Your Legacy, and today we have a very, very happy, smiley, joyous, like sunshine guest on. Her name is Kelly Walker, and everybody needs to go follow her on Instagram and Facebook. She's an inspirational and motivational speaker, life coach, podcaster, and a cruise retreat host. She teaches people how to effectively use the law of attraction to manifest more money, healthier relationships, and increase confidence and more. She helps clients overcome imposter syndrome. That is a skill that must be taught. The fear of success, another one. Self-sabotage and subconscious mental blocks. She's been married for 23 years and is the mom to a boy, a teenage boy, and 3 fur babies. Most people don't refer to little girls like that, but I'm just teasing. And her favorite hobbies, this is where we start to differ a little bit, but one is she loves traveling and learning. I'm on board for that. She loves learning new languages, and she wants to have an apartment in Disneyland. That's where I get off the boat.
What? Why?
I know. It's just never been in my dream. But my wife, she loves Disneyland as well. So I probably will end up there at some point. But here, Kelly, please share with us all of your joy. Share with us why you're into the manifesting sphere and how you got there.
Okay, awesome. How I got there is from being like super sad and depressed and powerless and hopeless. And really, I was like seriously rock bottom. I felt like I was stuck with all the crap that life had brought me. So I thought really it was me manifesting it, and I just didn't realize it. But when I went to a 3-day seminar, and it was about 2.5 years ago now. And I learned at that seminar that I was not stuck with what I had, that I could actually change my mind, change my life, just with like my thoughts and words, and then, the resulting actions. And it was like somebody like opened the door to Narnia for me, and I was a wizard or something. It was amazing. So I started getting all of these things that I wanted. And I was like, oh my heck, if I can do this, me who was so low at one point, if I can make this much progress in such a short time, I've got to tell everybody I know. Like, I've got to be obnoxiously visible about this. And I've got to tell everybody I can. And, I've got to lead a movement. I feel like I'm leading a movement. That's what I feel like.
Okay. So how did you learn about it? Because the first exposure obviously is important. You understand, I can actually do something like this. But how did you go about learning more of the intricate details about it, and then how to teach it? Because I've struggled in the past. I come across people all the time like, Sam, how did this happen in your life? I'm like, I don't know. I just I never think the way you think, and so that's why I think I never have the crap that you have. But that's not really an effective way to teach it, because then they just feel crappy about themselves still, which isn't my problem generally. But anyways, I'm curious, how did you learn the intricacies of it and then how to teach it?
The intricacies I learned from reading books mostly, and also going to seminars. I went to a specific seminar to teach manifesting, and it was amazing. They don't teach it anymore, which is really sad. But they gave the steps, and they're not the steps I teach exactly. With practice and my own experience, I've tweaked a lot of stuff. So I don't teach what I originally learned. I teach my version of things I know actually work better. But it was like a formula, At this seminar, we did all kinds of stuff like emotional management, getting really specific on your goals, breaking out of your comfort zone. We walked on fire. It was amazing. It changed my life. And then I read a lot of books, all of the old guy books about controlling your thoughts. So As a Man Thinketh, Think and Grow Rich, all of those old books like Napoleon Hill and James Allen, they really do lay it all out. It's really dense. It's hard to read. It's hard to understand, but all the steps are there. So I just kind of plucked out the things that I wanted to try, and I started experimenting, and I started manifesting some crazy stuff. And I was in an actual program to teach you how to be a coach. And so I learned in there, you keep track of what you try, keep track of your results so that you know specifically what actually works because you did it and it worked. So that's kind of how I learned to teach it, by tracking my own crazy progress, things that worked, things that didn't work, things I could improve, things I could cut out that other people taught that ended up not really mattering. So it's kind of a Frankenstein version of all the things I've learned.
Sure. I think that most people's lives, for sure, mine is a mixture of that. I mean, in my field, you can go to 1,000 people who do what I do, and probably every one of them will have a different style of management, a different recommendation. I know just in my office, there's about 15 different advisors here, and they all have, they would all handle something just a little different, not drastically different, but they'd all do it a little differently based on their experience and the companies that they like to work with and all the different things. So I understand that. What has been the craziest thing that you've manifested into your life?
Okay. So probably two different things. I'll start with the biggest one. So the biggest one was I decided that I wanted to be a motivational speaker with a coaching business. And so I learned about this thing called Ideal Life Vision, where you write the story of your life the way you want it. And so in my story, I wrote that I was a motivational speaker and I changed lives from the stage, and I had a meaningful mentoring business. And so I started saying this every day. And I had just spent $6,000 on this coaching program that a few months later they dissolved. And they said, okay, we've got some other programs you can finish your year out in. And one of the options that they did not give me was the speaking and coaching program. It was $25,000. I had only paid $6,000. And I said, I want to be in that one. I want to do the speaking coaching one. And they let me. And I think it's because I had been saying it every single day for about 3 months that I was a motivational speaker and I had a meaningful mentoring business. So I got into this program. It was amazing. I learned so much. And instead of only giving me the few months left in my contract, they gave me a full year. So I feel like I just manifested the crap out of that situation because it probably should not have happened. But I was very deliberate and specific. And I even said in my manifesto that I was in that program. Like I named it by name months before I was ever given the opportunity. So I was super specific and it happened. And then my second crazy thing I manifested was my mermaid cruise. That thing was like so fragile, and I actually had to cancel it once because I didn't get enough people. But I ended up making it happen, and I every day I'm just like, well, that was a complete miracle. So yeah, it's crazy what I've manifested. But those are my two really big things.
Okay. So how would you define, what is your version or your definition of manifesting? Because I've talked to a lot of different people, and I probably would use a different word to describe what I believe it is. But I'm curious, what is your word? Your word's manifesting. But how would you describe what that is? Define manifesting.
Okay. So I like to say two different parts of it. So the core part of manifesting is it's like hitting print on your subconscious beliefs. So anything you believe that you can have, do, or be is all you can have, do, or be. If you believe you can only reach a certain level, and this is what you deserve, and this is what you can do, that's exactly what you can get. So like that's the core of manifesting. And then to manifest something on purpose, because I call that manifesting by default. To manifest on purpose, you decide what you want to be, do, or have. You get really specific about it, and then you follow the 6 steps to manifesting, which are: be clear on what you want, visualize yourself having it, declare it out loud every day, meditate afterwards, and then receive your inspired next step, which everybody can do. Everyone has access to that. And then the last step is to get out and do your next step. Whatever it was, get out and implement it. So basically, manifesting is changing your life based on what you choose to believe. So your thoughts change your beliefs change your actions, and your actions change your results. So that's kind of what I call manifesting. Maybe some people might think manifesting is like some weird metaphysical witchcraft kind of thing. But really, it's just deciding what you want, being clear on it, declaring it, and following the promptings that you got.
Awesome. Yeah.
What would you call that?
No, that's great. So I'm going to share experience from me because so my parents, I still have no idea how old I was. I'm sure if I like got out a calendar and figured out when everybody left and whatnot, but they went to France. They went to France with my oldest brother for about a month and a half when I was somewhere in the vicinity of 12 to 14 years old. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
They went without you.
They went with, it was just, it was their honeymoon, and my oldest brother's like 18th birthday. So see, when I say that, then it doesn't sound right, but I don't.
It was their honeymoon or their anniversary?
Their anniversary, my bad. Sorry.
Okay.
Their anniversary. Yeah. I thought it was his 18th birthday, but if it was it must have been like his 20th birthday or something. Anyways, okay. I'm 10 years younger than him, so I would have been 8 if it was his 18th birthday, but I'm fairly certain I wasn't that young. So I don't know how old I was. I'm still confused about that.
Okay.
But the one thing that I do know is while they were gone, we watched the video of The Secret.
Oh, yes.
So we watched the video of The Secret probably 2 or 3 times a day for the whole month that they were gone.
Oh my gosh.
And
wow.
There was a few things that I wanted that I just wanted. And so there's two of them that stick out that I remember because these two are things that I don't see how I would have got them outside of thinking about them. Right.
Yeah.
So one was a little red. Well, it wasn't little. It was like, those motorized Vimto scooters that are like mopeds-ish.
Yes.
Anyway, they're scooters, but
those are so cute.
I wanted one. I wanted a red one. And so after watching The Secret, we created our vision boards, our family. We got out our dollar bills and wrote all the numbers on them. And we were committed. Yeah. And if you've seen The Secret, then it kind of visually shows what a good visualization session looks like and an experience should be like. And it puts it into like video form. So there's no misunderstanding of like, visualize yourself in the car, shifting gears, spinning around. Anyway, so I was doing this with this moped for about maybe 3 weeks or so. I hadn't told anybody really. Definitely not anybody out of my family. I'm sure people in my family knew because my picture was up on my ceiling above my bed. But an older lady from our church, her son was going blind, and so he couldn't ride his scooter anymore. And she gave us her red scooter.
That's awesome.
And I was too young to drive it, I remember. So I had to have been 12 or 13 because by the time I was 14, I had my license. So I was probably 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really supposed to be driving it, but I drove that thing everywhere. And I was like, I got this.
Dude,
And it was fun. So that
you
was the first thing.
manifest.
The other thing that I manifested, we'll use manifesting in this term, is a cell phone. And there was no, at the time, I was younger than, well, I was 3 people younger than the youngest person who had a cell phone in my family. It was like right when they were coming out, just barely getting flip phones, you know. And I was like, I want a cell phone so bad. So I printed out, it was like the Verizon VRX or something, flip phone. And I had it on my ceiling. And I was like, I want this cell phone. And this one took a little bit longer. I ended up moving down to Utah with my second oldest brother. I was in Idaho at the time, moving down to Utah for the summer. And the first half of the summer, I didn't have any way to communicate with them. And it was super frustrating because I was an ignorant child and didn't come home on time, didn't tell people where I was going, you know, just the ultimate disrespectful child. And I had no way to communicate. And so when I came home, I was like, okay, I need a cell phone. Like, this is no longer a want, this is a need at this point. And I ended up getting a cell phone before my siblings who were just older than me. I ended up getting a cell phone before them. And my parents allowed it. So those are 2 things that I like remember vividly, that I was like, there's no reason that would have happened except for going through this process. But I would say manifesting is interesting. I think that I just think that's intentional living. Like for me, I would say, okay, that's just intentional living, but it is manifesting. It's basically saying, this is how I want my future to go. I'm going to intentionally create my future, and it will happen the way, not because, and this is where I think a lot of people in my experience get tripped up. They're like, that sounds like you said, witchcraft. That sounds nuts. Like, it's not that me thinking about it, well, I mean, depends on how far into quantum physics you want to get, but me thinking about it is not what is ultimately bringing it to me. But rather, me thinking about it makes my mind begin to recognize every possible situation in which I could have it. Exactly. And that I might be able to obtain it. And so now I'm hyper aware of every possible thing that might get me that. Just like if somebody annoys you or somebody offends you, then every interaction after that, every time you interact with them, you think they're out to get you. Even if they're not, even if they only offended you once and they don't even know that they offended you, you know deep down in your gut when you've been offended, every time you see that person, you're like, oh, I bet he's trying to offend me again. It's like, no, like but that, because that's how we view that person, then naturally that's what we think about that person every time we see them, even though it's not true in the slightest most of the time. Right. So that is the essence of manifesting, is getting that, I forget what you called it, your next step, and then acting on it, right? Yeah. If there's no action, there's no manifestation. I guess I would call that faith. I think that is where I'd put it. I would just call it faith.
Yeah, totally. That's a great word for it. Yeah. Totally the same thing.
Yeah, I think so. So that's awesome. So when did you decide, because you said you wanted a coaching business, you knew you wanted a coaching business. Mm-hmm. When did you decide, I want this to be my legacy? I want people to remember me as somebody who was out teaching people how to intentionally create their life.
I think that was probably when I started coaching. So November 2017 is when I got my first client. And I thought, wow, I can really change the world with this. And then I got another client, and then I got into that program, and it just snowballed. And every decision I made reinforced, the possibility that I could literally change the world. And now I say it like in my own manifesto that I read in the mornings, I say, my name is Kelly K. Walker, and I am a force of nature. Like, I'm just declaring it every day. I am here to change the world. I'm a force of nature. I am making irresistible change happen everywhere around me. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, no, and if you ever get the chance to meet Kelly or even be in the same room, the thing is with Kelly, if you're even in the same room, you know you're in the same room as Kelly. and that's not because she is audaciously putting herself on a pedestal in the room, but she just has a presence of literally joy and sunshine all around her everywhere she goes. So yeah, you'd be lucky to spend some time and let a little bit the sunshine rub off on you, because it's pretty incredible. I was listening to a podcast today by well, it's actually Brad Lee. So we were talking about Brad Lee today earlier before the podcast.
Yeah.
But so he said, everybody says run from the rain or whatever, or save it for a rainy day or something. And he says, chase the sunshine.
Oh, I love that.
Like, stop saving money for a rainy day. Why don't you just go chase the sunshine? It's better. I'm like, perfect. That's a way better idea. Anyways, yeah. So just an idea there. But I know from my own personal experience of attempting to coach people in different areas or helping them with my profession, I love what I'm doing. I'm enthused. I like ecstatic, fanatical about what I do, and I love it. But you always have a few people who are uncomfortable with your changing, and so they try and hold you back. They're those naysayers in your life. How did you deal with them? How did you silence not only the naysayers on the outside of you, but all the naysayers on the inside of you?
Oh, that's a good question. You know what? One of the hardest things for me was losing friends. And I wasn't expecting it. Like, I have this kind of, everybody's going to come with me attitude. Like literally I'm a force of nature. You can't resist me. You have to be happy around me. You have to do personal development if you know me. Like, I will just pull you along in my wake, right? I've had people literally unfriend me on Facebook because they couldn't stand to watch me progress while they stayed where they are. And like, I had to go to my own coaches about it. I was like, if I keep progressing, I'm going to lose all my friends. And it's kind of making me want to stop. But I hire very good coaches and I've had some really good insight into this. And what they made me realize, which is totally true, that when you level up, the people around you that don't want to level up, they're not mad at you. They're judging themselves. And you getting better makes them feel like, oh crap, I'm not doing this. I suck, And so they're judging themselves and condemning themselves. And they literally have to separate from you because it's too painful for them to know you. It hurts them deep down to not follow along with you. And it's okay. Like, I've learned that that's okay. Like, that's not a, Kelly, you're a horrible person. I can't stand you. You make me sick. It's you're going too far for me right now. I need to stay back here and get ready to come with you later. So that's how I look at it. They're withdrawing so that they can build themselves up to the point where they're ready to take that leap. And that's really helped me. And I don't know, did that answer your question? I might have gotten off topic there.
Well, no, that was fantastic. I think that with that answer, though, because I'm just sitting here from the perspective of somebody who is the one choosing to stay behind.
Oh.
And it's interesting. This is the little types of things that sometimes I neglect in my own phrasing of things, and I don't know that there's a better way of saying it. So this is why I'm bringing it up, because I don't know what the proper way of saying this is. But in the statement, the people who choose to stay behind, or the people who are the naysayers, people who are unfriending you, they're really doing it because of how they feel about themselves.
Right.
Okay. Just the recognition of that by you and I and then them potentially hearing that we're recognizing that,
Yes.
Produces this never-ending cycle of perceived judgment, which then compounds how bad they feel about themselves, and they go down this rabbit hole, and then it's even harder for them to climb out because now there's ego and emotion involved. And so how is it that you found, or have you found a way to effectively communicate to them that you are okay and you don't hold it against them and that you still love them even though they're not with you immediately, right? That they need to stay back, and it's okay that they're staying back, and that you're not judging them for staying back. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So what I have found is that it does not matter what you say to them. They're going to have their bad feelings. And you get to let them have their bad feelings, and you get to not internalize it and not blame yourself for it. And that's what's happened with me. They have chosen to stay unfriendly and a little mad, and that's okay. Like I give them their space to do that. In my mind, I'm thinking, it's okay. I love you. I love you where you are in your journey. And I know that this doesn't have anything to do with me. And I have no hard feelings. Like when you're ready to come join me, I am 100% ready to welcome you, you know? So it's still hard because they're going to choose to have those feelings, and that's okay for them to have them. You just have to let them do it. But I think telling them can be perceived as condescending and patronizing. So I would definitely not tell them that. I think that would be highly triggering.
I know, but here's why I'm bringing it up, because what if that woman or that man is listening to this podcast?
Oh, if she's listening, I don't know. She's already put herself in that place of, I can't really stand you right now. And I don't know if this will change her position in either direction. I don't know. I don't know what it would do. That's an interesting question.
This is the things I think about. So I tend to come off not as friendly as Kelly often, and more direct, just because I don't like to let things fester. And my wife was reminding me of an experience when we were dating, where she was trying to move around and my arm was around her, and she like dug her elbow into my arm. We were at a basketball game, and she was completely unintentional, no malice or anything for her. But I reacted abruptly, assertively, like, hey, that hurt my arm, like the heck. And so she, because of the people in her life she'd experienced that type of rebuff from, she thought that I would be upset for longer and like actually be upset at her. And in reality, I had forgotten about it like right after it happened, because like I said my piece and then I was done, right? And so over the course of my years, I've become more aware of the fact that the things I say could be potentially offensive to somebody. I'm not intending to offend anybody. However, I am intending to fully express my opinion. And if that comes across offensive, it's definitely not meant to be. It's meant to be, this is how I feel, and I don't expect you to even care how I feel, but I'm going to share anyways type. But I learned to really precurse or foreshadow, rather, what I'm going to tell somebody, in the hopes that they take it the right way, out of love, rather than, if you want to hang back, that's up to you, pal, But it's a never-ending debate, and I don't know if there's a right way of handling it. So that's why I thought I'd ask and see how you go about handling it.
I think, energetically, you can send people love and support and permission to be where they are with no judgment, and hope that they pick up on it. Because energetically, you can totally send people things and they pick up on them. So, I just send them kind of like permission to do whatever they want, to be mad at me if they need to. It's okay with me. I understand where you're coming from, and I just give you love, you know?
No, I
So do
love
that. Send them love energy.
I love it. That's awesome. So one of the things that I like to ask my guests and get up and personal with them, because there's a lot of people who listen to this and they're wondering, how could I ever get to the point where I can do all these fun things, have this type of lifestyle where I'm out just traveling. I mean, Kelly, she's traveling all over the United States teaching people about manifesting. But with that comes a financial expense, some financial commitment into these things. And so when you decided to start building your legacy, whether it was to first even pay that $6,000 or pay these coaches, I mean, you've told us how you got into one of your programs, but
right.
When you first started to do that, how did you financially support that decision? Was it a team effort with you and your spouse? Like, what was the circumstances that allowed you financially to take that jump from a place of maybe fear and scarcity into, I'm going to go create something and I'm a force of nature?
Yeah. Well, it was definitely scary. The very first thing we did together as a couple, and it was like our very first life coaching experience. It was $10,000. And so we got some credit cards. You know, we really rang up our credit card debt and charged it. And it went pretty badly. Like, that person was not super qualified, and they were connected with some shady people, and some of them are in prison now, which is very disturbing. And so that went badly. And you would think that because of that, we'd be scared to ever do anything like that again. And we were. It was 10 years before we tried again. So 10 years later, which was 2 years ago, we decided to try again. We met the mentors on several occasions. We felt really confident that they would be a good influence. So we, again, did a credit card. We got a new credit card account for that and recharged it. And then we made credit card payments for like 6 months at least, maybe even a year. And so, you know, it was a sacrifice. We had to budget, we had to cut things out. But with scarcity mentality, focusing on the scarcity brings more scarcity. So we try to only focus on the miracle that we could pay that bill every month, and focusing on the fact that something always happened that we could pay it, made it so that we could always pay it. So if your mindset is there's no way I can afford that ever, guess what? You're never going to afford it ever. If your mindset is, I really want this and I'm going to find a way to do it no matter what, the money shows up like magic.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that right there is, in my opinion, probably the best thing that Kelly's ever manifested into her life.
Aww.
Is the ability to pay for more coaching, because coaching is what enables each of us to really upgrade ourselves. This is an interesting topic for me, because the more and more I contemplate about God and Jesus Christ and my religious beliefs, the more and more I read the scriptures of various faiths, and I get the impression that God is really somebody who's there to coach us on how to be most successful in this universe, or whatever we want to call the system that he resides in. And he's a coach. And what was the cost? What was the cost that he was willing? What did he invest into us? He invested a lot of pain, sorrow, sacrifice of somebody he loved, and he invested a ton into helping us get there. And I would say most coaches have gone to great lengths of their own sacrifice to gain the knowledge, to gain the experience, and then to allow themselves to be emotionally or or even time-wise bound up to somebody who's not necessarily there yet, just for the satisfaction of seeing somebody better themselves. Like people who have got to Kelly's life, she could keep manifesting stuff in her own life and she doesn't need anybody else except for herself and her husband, and they can go have a wonderful life together. But the fact that she chooses to turn around and to coach others, that's incredible, right? And that's what I think of this whole purpose of this life is, how can we get to a point where we're choosing to intentionally create our lives? And then 2, how are we choosing to teach others to do the same? And how are we perpetuating this coaching and learning to be a good coach? Because if that's what God is, if we're just great followers, we're never really getting the full extent of who God is. Anyways, it's a very mind-bending thing, but for me, that's the way I view it. And I think I'm just grateful for coaches who are willing to do that and go through the time and effort to gain the understanding so they can turn back and teach each other. So question is, God, how do people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about manifesting from you? Maybe go over a few of your different packages or programs that you help people with, the different areas that you help them manifest different things in their life, and then where they can get more information from you or connect with you.
Okay. Well, I have tiers. Like I have entry level all the way up to intensive one-on-one coaching. And so I usually funnel everybody just right into my free Facebook group first. I do a free manifesting class live every Monday morning in my group at 9:30. And I go by whatever I feel like they need to hear that day. So it doesn't have a whole lot of rhyme or reason. So like yesterday was Monday. So yesterday I felt the need to talk about how to manifest more clients in your business. And June was all about manifesting more money. And February was all about manifesting love or a new love interest or a better relationship with your significant other. So I just kind of go with whatever I feel like people need based on their comments and posts and things like that. So that's totally free and a great starting point. If you're just learning manifesting, it's a great starting point. And then I have 2 manifesting courses that you can just purchase and I will mail them to you, like booklets that walk you through it. I have a kind of a beginner one and then I have a more advanced one. And those are both really fun and thought-provoking, and they help you write a manifesto, which is what I use to manifest everything. And then I have group coaching and private coaching, which, are done by Zoom call, so you can do it from anywhere. And probably the best way to find me is just to go to my website, which is thequeenofmanifesting.com. And all my links are on there. My courses are all on there. My Facebook group is on there. My podcast is on there. So that's probably the best place to go to start. And of course, my email is kelly@thequeenofmanifesting.com if you just want to email me.
Awesome. And if you haven't, I guess we didn't really talk about our podcast that much, but it's the Queen of Manifesting, right? Is the name of your podcast.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. Just go give it a listen and subscribe. And just anytime you're in a position of, hey, I wonder how I could do X, Y, or Z, or the next time you catch yourself saying, oh, we can't do that because we don't, right?
Yeah.
Any of that type of language, go ahead and listen to the latest episode. And I'm sure that you'll hear something of like, oh, I could actually look into that option or whatever option is going to help you. Mm-hmm. Just focus your mind on the possibility of you can rather than that you can't and there's not enough or whatever it is. Right. So go check her out there. And then we'll have a few of those links, definitely a link to her website and her podcast in the show notes here so you can go easily find those. So this next section, 2 sections left, they're my favorite. So the next one is called Legacy on Rapid Fire. So we want to find out, there's 5 questions that we're going to ask you about you and how you're building your legacy, where you're headed. And we're looking for like a 1-word to 1-sentence answer for these. So it's going to be quick.
Okay.
Okay. So this is number 1 question. What is holding you back from reaching the next level of your legacy today?
Oh, time management.
Okay. What's been the hardest thing you've ever accomplished?
Becoming a motivational speaker and being comfortable on stage.
Awesome. She's overcome death, if that's it, because public speaking is ranked higher than the fear of
Exactly.
dying.
That's right.
What is your greatest success in your life to this point?
The complete 180 I've done over the last 2.5 years is huge. Like, I was suicidal 2.5 years ago. Fired, suicidal, addicted to video games, complete, total, non-functioning human to this awesomeness that I am now.
Yeah, that's crazy. I can't even imagine you being
I
like
know,
that, but
right?
that's cool. And what do you believe one of the biggest secrets, whether it's a habit, a mindset, or behavior, is that contributes to your success?
Manifesto, reading a manifesto every day, which is just a list of everything you want said with gratitude as if you've already got it.
Love it. And then what books would you recommend to the Fuel Your Legacy audience?
Oh gosh, so many books. I would, if you have not read any Napoleon Hill, start with Think and Grow Rich. That really lays out all the basics of manifesting, and really pretty much anything by Napoleon Hill. And of course, I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with manifesting per se, but anything by Brene Brown. She is my spirit animal.
She's awesome.
I love every book by her, and I recommend that to people a lot.
Awesome. And this is now the pinnacle and my favorite part, my favorite question, because it trips people up a little bit. Okay. But we're going to pretend that you're dead. Okay. And you've died, and now we're 6 generations down from you. So we're talking to your great grandchildren. They're all sitting around the table eating dinner, and they're discussing your life and legacy. What do you want them to be saying about your legacy, Kelly?
Wow. I want them to say that I gave them and everybody else, hopefully, the power to create the life they want, and to know that they are not stuck with what they've got. So basically, the power to change their lives into whatever they want them to be.
Fantastic. I know you're going to accomplish that because you've done it. And if all you do is leave a journal of what you've done and how you accomplished it, then there's going to be an immense value there, and you'll be able to pass that down. And like you said, sharing that with the world is incredible. So thank you so much for your time to be here. I know that, as you say, you just got back from a trip. You're headed out here soon as well. But Thank you so much for taking the time to be here on Fuel Your Legacy. And please remember to go visit her on her website at thequeenofmanifesting.com and go check out her podcast, Queen of Manifesting Show. So
awesome.
Catch you next time on Fuel Your Legacy. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us today. If what you heard resonated with you, please like, comment, and share on social media. Tag me so I can give you a shout out on the next episode. And thanks to all those who have left a review. It helps spread the message of what it really takes to build a legacy that lasts. Catch you next time on Fueling Your Legacy.